Before we dive in, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude to all my subscribers. I hope you discover valuable insights from historical cold cases. Today we'll explore some of the darkest true crime stories you may not have encountered before. 1. The Murder of Beverly Yos. The murder of Beverly Yos is one of the most haunting, unsolved cases in Ohio's history, capturing the attention of both local residents and true crime enthusiasts alike. On December 28, 1964, Beverly, a bright and promising 16-year-old high school student from Garfield Heights, was found brutally murdered in her family home. The discovery was made by her mother, who returned from work to a scene that would forever change their family and the community. Beverly was known for her friendly demeanor and was well-liked by her peers. She had dreams and aspirations, typical of a teenager with her whole life ahead of her. On that fateful day, she was reportedly alone at home, which raised immediate concerns about her safety. The circumstances of her death indicated a violent struggle. Beverly had fought back against her assailant, suggesting that she may have known her attacker. This detail added a layer of complexity to the investigation, as it hinted at a possible personal motive. The local police launched an extensive investigation, interviewing friends, family, and neighbors. They meticulously combed through the evidence, but leads were scarce. Despite their efforts, the case quickly grew cold. Over the years, various theories emerged and multiple suspects were considered, but none were ever brought to justice. The lack of closure left a profound impact on Beverly's family, who grappled with their loss while hoping for answers. As the years passed, the case became a chilling reminder of the unresolved violence that can shatter lives. Community members began to share Beverly's story, ensuring that her memory would not fade away. The case has been revisited in numerous true crime discussions, documentaries, and articles, each retelling the tragic narrative of a young life cut short. In recent years, advancements in forensic technology have reignited interest in unsolved cases like Beverly's. Law enforcement agencies have been encouraged to revisit cold cases, utilizing modern techniques to analyze old evidence. Despite the passage of time, there is still hope among those who remember Beverly that justice may one day be served. The legacy of Beverly Yos lives on, not just as a cautionary tale, but as a symbol of the unresolved pain many families endure. Her story serves to remind us of the importance of community and the relentless pursuit of truth, echoing the sentiments of countless unsolved cases that still seek resolution. The ongoing efforts of investigators and advocates keep her memory alive, fueling the hope that one day the mystery surrounding her tragic death will be solved. 2. The Ripper Crew. The story of the Ripper Crew is one of terror and tragedy that unfolded in the early 1980s in Chicago, Illinois. This group of four men, Robin Gecht, Edward Spreitzer, Thomas McGowan, and Anthony Garcia, became infamous for their horrifying acts against vulnerable women. In the early 1980s, the streets of Chicago were plagued by a series of gruesome murders. The Ripper Crew targeted women, often luring them with false promises or pretending to offer help. Many of their victims were sex workers, making them particularly vulnerable to their predatory tactics. The crew's modus operandi was chilling. They would abduct their victims, take them to secluded locations, and subject them to unspeakable violence. Reports indicated that the group often mutilated their victims, engaging in acts that were both brutal and ritualistic. The details were so horrific that they shocked the community and drew significant media attention. As the number of missing women grew, law enforcement began to connect the dots. Detectives worked tirelessly, gathering evidence and interviewing witnesses. The investigation faced numerous challenges, including the lack of physical evidence and the fear that gripped the community. In 1982, the breakthrough came when one of the crew members, Anthony Garcia, was arrested on unrelated charges. During questioning, he began to divulge information about the group's activities, leading to the arrest of Gecht, Spreitzer, and McGowan. The trials that followed were widely publicized, revealing the gruesome details of the crimes. The prosecution presented a compelling case, detailing how the crew had terrorized the city. In 1986, Robin Gecht was convicted and sentenced to 120 years in prison. Edward Spreitzer received a similar sentence, while Thomas McGowan and Anthony Garcia were also convicted and sentenced to long terms. The legacy of the Ripper Crew is one of horror and a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities faced by women, particularly those in marginalized communities. Their crimes instigated discussions about safety, the treatment of women, and the need for better support systems for those at risk. The story of the Ripper Crew remains etched in the history of Chicago, a dark chapter that continues to evoke fear and sorrow. The impact of their heinous acts serves as a somber reminder of the importance of vigilance and compassion in the face of violence. 3. The brutal Robison family murder. The Goodhart murders, a tragic and chilling case, unfolded on June 25, 1968, near the small town of Goodhart, Michigan. The Robison family, Richard, his wife Shirley, and their 4 children, Richie, Gary, Randy, and Susan, were enjoying a summer vacation at their cottage by Lake Michigan when they became victims of a brutal crime that shocked the nation. Richard Robison was a successful businessman from the Detroit area, known for his dedication to his family. Shirley was a loving mother, caring for their 4 children, who ranged in age from 10 to 16. The family often spent summers at their cottage, enjoying the beauty of the Great Lakes and creating lasting memories together. On that fateful day, the Robison family was reported missing after they failed to return home. Concerned relatives contacted local authorities, prompting a search of the cottage. Upon arrival, law enforcement made a horrific discovery. The bodies of all 6 family members were found inside the home, each shot multiple times. The investigation revealed that the murders were premeditated. Authorities found no signs of forced entry, suggesting that the perpetrator was someone the family might have known. The community was in shock, and the case quickly garnered national media attention as the brutal nature of the crime raised fears and questions about safety in rural areas. Detectives pursued numerous leads, including potential suspects and motives, but the investigation faced challenges. Over the years, various theories emerged, ranging from personal vendettas to robbery gone wrong. Despite extensive efforts, including interviews and forensic analysis, no one was ever charged with the murders. The murders left a deep scar in the Goodhart community. Local residents were terrified, and many took precautions to secure their homes. Memorials were held for the Robison family, and the case became a haunting reminder of the fragility of life. As time passed, the case remained unsolved, and it became one of Michigan's most infamous cold cases. In the decades since, the murders have been the subject of true crime documentaries and articles, drawing renewed interest in hopes of uncovering new evidence. Despite the passage of time, the Robison family's story continues to resonate, serving as a poignant reminder of the loss and tragedy that can strike unexpectedly. The case remains open, and the community still hopes for answers, keeping the memory of the Robison family alive in their hearts. 4. The gruesome and unsolved triple murder of 3 women, Karen Scarborough, Sharon Lake, and Deborah Frank, at the site of a housing development in Dale City, Virginia, in 1978 that left police perplexed. In the suburb of Dale City, Virginia, the autumn of 1978 unfolded like any other. Leaves turned golden, and the air was crisp, but a dark cloud loomed over the community, one that would change it forever. It was a time when neighbors knew each other by name, and the sense of safety was palpable. Yet that tranquility shattered with the discovery of 3 young women brutally murdered at the site of a new housing development. Karen Scarborough, Sharon Lake, and Deborah Frank were all vibrant and full of life. They were friends, each navigating their own paths in the world. Karen, at just 20, was known for her infectious laughter. Sharon, 19, had dreams of becoming a nurse, while 21-year-old Deborah had recently welcomed a baby into her life. They were young women with hopes and aspirations, excited about the future. On a fateful November day, their lives would intersect in a way no one could have anticipated. As workers began to prepare the site for construction, they stumbled upon a gruesome scene. The bodies of the 3 women lay hidden among the underbrush, their lives extinguished in a brutal act of violence. News spread quickly, sending shockwaves through the tight-knit community. Families locked their doors at night, and whispers of fear echoed down the streets. The police launched an extensive investigation, scouring the area for clues. They interviewed friends, family, and potential witnesses, but leads were scarce. The case baffled detectives. There were no apparent motives, and the crime scene revealed little about the assailant. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. The investigation faced numerous challenges. The area was vast, and many had visited the construction site, complicating the timeline. The detectives explored various theories, from a random act of violence to a possible connection between the victims. They even delved into the personal lives of the women, searching for any hint of trouble. As the investigation dragged on, the community held vigils, lighting candles in memory of the young women. Each flickering flame represented a life cut short, a reminder of the safety they once took for granted. Local media covered the story extensively, bringing attention to the case. But despite the publicity, leads remained elusive. Years passed, but the murders of Karen, Sharon, and Deborah lingered in the minds of the residents. The case became a haunting memory, a chilling reminder of the fragility of life. New families moved into Dale City, and the housing development eventually flourished. But the shadow of the tragedy never completely faded. Detectives continued to revisit the case, hoping for new evidence or advancements in forensic science that might shed light on the mystery. Cold case units were formed, and occasionally a lead would surface, reigniting hope. But as time went on, the likelihood of finding answers diminished. As the years turned into decades, the story of Karen Scarborough, Sharon Lake, and Deborah Frank became woven into the fabric of Dale City. Their names were memorialized in local history, a solemn reminder of a dark chapter that had forever altered the course of many lives. While the investigation remains open, the unsolved nature of their murders leaves a lingering ache in the hearts of those who knew them and those who continue to seek justice. The case may be cold, but the memories of these three women burn brightly in the community, a testament to their lives and the tragedy that befell them. And 5, the Brighton Trunk murders. The Brighton Trunk murders, a notorious crime from the early 1930s in England, involve a chilling tale of mystery, deception, and the dark underbelly of society. This grim narrative centers around the discovery of 2 dismembered bodies in a trunk, which shocked the public and left law enforcement grappling for answers. In the summer of 1934, the seaside town of Brighton was a popular destination, filled with sun-seekers and holidaymakers. However, the idyllic atmosphere was shattered on July 17 when the police received a call about a suspicious trunk left at a local railway station. Upon investigation, officers found the trunk contained human remains, specifically the dismembered bodies of a man and a woman. The victims were eventually identified as a couple, 29-year-old Charles Charlie McCarthy and 34-year-old Margaret Maggie McCarthy. The two had been living in London, and their lives were marked by a series of tumultuous events, including financial troubles and a volatile relationship. Their backgrounds were as complex as the circumstances surrounding their deaths. Charles McCarthy was a former butcher turned petty criminal, known for his charm and quick wit. He had a history of minor offenses and was often in trouble with the law. His partner, Margaret, was equally enigmatic. She had aspirations of becoming an actress, but had found herself entangled in the gritty realities of life in London. Together they were a couple that attracted attention, both for their tumultuous romance and their frequent run-ins with the law. As the investigation unfolded, police quickly realized that the circumstances of their deaths were far from ordinary. Witnesses reported seeing the couple in Brighton shortly before their disappearance, and it became clear that they had been living under false identities. The couple had taken on new personas, which raised suspicions about their intentions and the reasons behind their sudden move to the coast. The case took a dramatic turn when the police arrested a man named Edward Eddie McCarthy, a distant relative of Charles. He became a prime suspect due to his connection to the victims and his suspicious behavior following the discovery of the bodies. Eddie had a history of mental illness and had been living in a state of paranoia, which complicated the investigation further. As detectives delved deeper into the lives of the victims and their families, they uncovered a web of deceit, betrayal, and criminal activity. It turned out that Charles had been involved in various illegal schemes, and Margaret had her own secrets, including a past that involved relationships with dangerous individuals. The couple's lives were intertwined with a cast of characters who all had motives, and the case began to resemble a complex tapestry of intrigue. Public fascination with the case grew as details emerged. The media sensationalized the story, leading to a frenzy of speculation about the couple's lives and the circumstances of their deaths. The Brighton Trunk murders became a symbol of the darker aspects of society, highlighting issues such as poverty, crime, and the lengths people would go to in order to escape their realities. Despite the extensive investigation, the case remained unsolved for years. The lack of solid evidence and the myriad of potential suspects only deepened the mystery. It was not until 1935 that the case saw a breakthrough when a witness came forward with information about the couple's last known movements. This led to new leads and a renewed effort by the police to solve the case. As time passed, the Brighton Trunk murders faded from the headlines, but they remained a chilling reminder of the dangers lurking beneath the surface of everyday life. The story of Charles and Margaret McCarthy became a cautionary tale, illustrating how quickly love can turn to tragedy and how the desire for a better life can lead to unforeseen consequences. In the end, the Brighton Trunk murders left an indelible mark on the town and its residents. The case was never fully resolved, but it served as a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the dark paths that some individuals tread in their search for happiness and fulfillment. The story continues to intrigue true crime enthusiasts and historians, symbolizing the enigmatic nature of human relationships and the secrets that can lie hidden in the most familiar of places.